Yeah, pretty close. We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Westergaard.
Yep.
Boltman.
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Stankin.
Here.
Counselor Huss is ill.
Before we start, I want to make sure I thank everybody for helping for the cleanup on Saturday. Tammy actually helped with Hometown Pride with the food and picking up sticks. And the city employees were there, Terry and his cookies. And Whitey had to drive the old truck.
That's an adventure.
That's what Lon said.
Maybe all you need is an anchor. And you're just right. You just throw her out and you'll stop anytime you want
Oh,
to.
yeah. And Scott Kinsey did a good job with the chainsaw, I'm told.
That's right.
I'm still sore from it.
Is that right? But Mark did too, so we appreciate everybody helping. It was a big turnout. Okay, public forum. Joyce?
Hi, Joyce Moore, Moore Trucking, and representing Hancock Concrete. I'm here to ask if we could be considered to have no parking on the east side of the street between the plant and the highway on Lake Street, or at least from the lake to the highway on Lake Street. Right now, the businesses at the corner of the highway and Lake Street have as many as 6 vehicles on that corner a day. And we're gonna be hauling wide loads starting Thursday this week and all summer long. And it just, I'm surprised there's not more accidents than what there is down that way. Probably 2-3 times a month, if I wasn't watching, I would be involved in one just because that's my route to go home from work and to work, so. And the structures we keep building larger and larger, so they're gonna be wider and wider. And that is the truck route, so just here to ask you to consider that and let us know what we can do.
We'll look into it, Joyce.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just on that real quick, Joyce, you said request on the east side. Any particular reason on the east side?
Because when we leave the plant, we'll be wide and we'll be going up the east side of the street to get to the highway. We are wide coming back from our other plants occasionally, but the majority of the times we would be going from the plant out wide instead of coming to the plant wide.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to take a look at that, because we had brought this issue up even basically from the drive into the lake. And all the mailboxes there are on the west side of the road, which causes some problems then, because it really limits problems on the west side. So take a look at it and
Well, and
just
actually,
see
I
what
just
you
thought
can
of
do.
this also. I didn't notice it forever, but this first block right across from the park, that is no parking on the east side already. There is a sign right in front of Terry Keenhold's place.
Sure, yeah.
And I never noticed that in all the times I drive up and down the street. So that's why I thought, continued it just down that side and,
It takes quite a while to get that all done, but we'll see if we can.
The mailboxes
that way.
are on the left side, or the west side, right?
On the west side.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's why I say if the only side to park on is the west side, parking's limited already because you can't park in front of mailboxes.
Right.
And so
okay.
anyway, just really take a look at it. I guess that'd be my.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Consent agenda. Any additions, corrections?
Nope, no changes.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Boltman.
Yep.
Moeller.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Stankin.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 474. This is the third reading and the final one.
Maybe before we get, I don't know if Brandy had anything
Oh,
or not.
Randy, do you have anything you want to bring up?
I just came to introduce myself. Brandy Ripley, I'm the new director for SAC Economic and Tourism Development. At the end of the night here, I'll get some business cards to you guys, and if you need anything, I'm here to help. So,
Awesome.
nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, third and final reading of 474. Motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Okay, Moeller.
Yes.
Stankin.
Yes.
Boltman.
Yep.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, we have a contract amendment from MER for the redoing the,
Yep, it's on page 5. This is the additional cost to rebid that Sunset Drive is a separate project. And it's consistent with what he had said. He said it'd be about a couple $1,000s. That's the maximum amount. It's actually based on hourly fees, but the maximum's $2,000.
Need a motion? Second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Voltman.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Stankin.
Yes.
Muller.
Yes.
Okay, we'll open the public hearing on the natural gas franchise. Any public input?
I've received no input.
Can I speak my
Yeah.
It's public.
Yeah.
It's public, here we go, all right. First of all, I don't want everybody to believe that this was just something because of what Black Hills wasn't doing a good job. It had nothing to do with that. What I was more interested in, when you enter into a 25-year contract, that's still a long time for having no options. At least with the windows now, we've got some options that we can, you know, if there's such a thing that we ever want to move in a different direction, we're able to do that. We straightened up the language somewhat with the idea that we could term without cause before we had to prove cause. And again, I have no complaint with Black Hills. My thing was that we need to have some way to hold people accountable. And if you have a 25-year blank contract, there was no way. I'm happy to support this the way it's been written up right now. Would I like to see another window? Yes, but that's here nor there. We've got two in there now that we can manage, and I think that's important to future councils, that they've got at least an option for doing so. The other thing was that Scott, and you've done well at showing up at different events, helping out. I really do appreciate that, and I hope that continues after the contract is signed, just to show that it is a commitment that you guys are willing to make, and it's not just lip service. That's the way I say it, and that's the way it is. But again, I'm willing to jump on board with this, and I know I was kind of a pain about this, but I had real strong beliefs of not having a 25-year contract without no options. So, end of my box. Getting off my soapbox now.
So many times that I read it once more yet, or,
This would just be the first reading.
okay.
Yeah. We'll close the public hearing. Ordinance 474 will be the first reading of the franchise agreement. Do we have that motion?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Okay, Stankin.
Yes.
Muller.
Yes.
Voltman.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Can we waive the next two?
We talked about
You
that.
can do what you want to. You know, I think it's a 25-year commitment. There ought to at least be allowed as much public input as possible.
Okay.
If you want to waive them, you sure can.
Let's do it right.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah.
Just continue the process.
Okay, resolution 1630 is hiring our last employee.
Yes, this would be hiring Cordell Boom as the electric floater in the electric department. Hires Cordell for the summer at the wage of $11, and he's already graduated high school, so he's available to come to work, and we'd probably get him to work here yet this week.
Looked like he could run about anything we got, so. Looked like the best one we've had for a while. We have that motion to hire him.
I'll make it.
Second,
Second.
roll call.
Hey, Reese,
Yes.
Muller,
Yes.
Boltman,
Yes.
Stankin.
Yes.
Okay, the ice cream machine. Nancy, Ruth, you got anything else you want to add to it?
No samples? No samples again?
Just that, I think Tammy, you questioned about warranty, there's a 1-year warranty on parts and labor on that machine.
I went down there, when I went down and met with them at that food show, I come bopping up there and asked them what they had machines, and said, oh, we're offering a $1,000 discount on this machine. I thought, wow, this is all right. Well, come find out, it was their $14,000 machine, the one that did all the self-dispenses and.
We would have taken that.
Yeah, it's the other 13 grand that you have to come up with, that was a little difficult, so.
Something that
you might wanna look at though is, say like a lease program, because
They don't have them.
they don't, okay.
Check.
Well, because that way if anything goes wrong, they'll swap it out, you
They don't have a lease program.
know. Okay.
I found that out too.
What would the council like to do about the ice cream machine for the concession stand?
I'll make a motion to purchase the ice cream machine.
Second,
I'll second it.
roll call.
Waltman,
Yes.
Moller,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Stankin.
I'm gonna abstain just for the fact that if they buy it, it's gonna go through my company. That's the closest one. We were still thinking about working with,
The Redemption
yeah,
Center.
that's where it would come out. Okay, yeah, I'm just abstaining then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, jeez.
We'll bring them all one, Scott, but you're not gonna.
Second.
If yes gets me a malt, I change
What kind would you like? Thank you, we appreciate that.
You better sell those things, Ruth.
She will,
Yep.
she will.
I'll have to buy, I'll buy one and give it to you just to let you know we're selling them.
All right.
Maybe.
I think they'll sell.
Maybe.
Yeah, they'll definitely
Yeah.
sell down there.
They'll be fine.
Okay, we'll move on to the lawnmowers.
Money well spent.
Yep.
Yeah, just that we had budgeted to purchase one Toro, another one of those Toros. This would be another gas one, 34 horsepower gas with a 60-inch cut Toro that we would get into this program to be able to trade it in every year, and it runs about $500. Cost was $10,879.
And that's budgeted, so.
They would, it's budgeted for next year, but they'd go ahead and work with us and get this ordered on their next order. So it would arrive here likely before the start of the budget year, but they would accept payment then after the 1st of July.
I'll make that motion to purchase the lawnmower.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Okay, Whitman,
Yes.
Reese, Stankin,
Yes.
Moeller.
Yes.
Okay, the Board of Adjustment reappointing Jim Stock.
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call.
Reese,
Yes.
Moeller,
Yes.
Waltman,
Yep.
Stankin.
Yes.
Lon, you wanna come up here? We're gonna talk about the lagoon.
I ain't got it all read yet.
But that,
There is a test.
yeah, we haven't read any of it.
Trust me, there will be a test. When you won't probably.
Uh-huh.
Where are we at and what do we gotta do? That's our big question.
Yeah, let's take a look at this first one that was laying on the table tonight. This one is the one that has the boring results on it. There's a whole set here.
This might become a boring.
Oh, man.
Don't tell anybody that, Marcia.
Oh,
You didn't just say that.
you think I'm bad.
This is pretty good site, guys.
I see that.
Thank you.
A lot of clay. We shouldn't have to buy any dirt like we thought in the last meeting.
It's good.
One thing that's nice about this site, and just going through his big book here, is we can gravity flow it all the way out there. And that's huge in cost savings. And
Yeah.
it looks like it's gonna be a depth in the teens is what I'm reading in here, roughly 15 feet, the way it's looking. From the, going out of Indian Creek, going all the way over there 4,200 feet, there's only 5 foot of, it'll be 5 foot of drop is all.
Oh, so they'll keep it
So,
clean.
about 2%
Yeah.
slope. So, you wanna start with this, Scott, this, the specs on that? I don't know if you guys read any of that, but.
Well, they
It's
hadn't,
pretty-
we just got this today on
Yeah.
what the actual borings were, and just know that, I guess, man, those are really good looking borings. One of them, basically, as the site lays, three of the boreholes were up on, more on the top of the hill, and one of them's at the bottom. And you can certainly tell the one that was at the bottom of the hole, or bottom of the hill, and it's not nearly as much clay, and it hits water right away. Still, they haven't determined what bottom of the lagoon would be, but bottom of the lagoon is likely going to be somewhere above, 2 feet above the low part of the hill. So you're still not getting into any of that groundwater issue there. So that was all positive.
And I think if you go in further to it, there'll be more testing done out there. They left 2 holes open to see if it's gonna percolate over. And something that I didn't get reading through here, but if they go with that, I would almost suggest that they go from Indian Creek, from the sewer plant out, and do some test boring so the contractor knows what he's getting into. That might save us some money in the end if we pay to have that done. That's something would be Bob's call probably, but it makes sense to me, because if you don't tell a contractor, they're gonna bid it into it knowing that we might run into water here. So,
Let's take a look at the council packet on page 14.
I'll show you.
I highlighted a few of the things there about this. Now gets into the property acquisition and what some alternatives are. And Bob Veenstra is laying out a couple alternatives here, and the site itself up there of Hausers is 31.8 acres. So one option would be that you would simply buy that entire parcel. What would be needed is about 21.4 acres. And you saw the pictures were in there, they're on 17 and 18, as far as some ideas about what that would look like. 17 just shows the entire parcel. 18 shows the amount that would truly be needed to be purchased. But then as you'd continue to read in Bob's letter, he's saying his recommendation then is that we would get someone in to do an appraisal, and that when you do an appraisal, you're actually going to appraise both ways. You would appraise the purchase of the entire parcel and appraise for purchase of the 21 acres. Because if you're just purchasing the 21 and leaving the 10, it still devalues that 10 acres in some respects. So,
Oh, yeah.
so really that's just laying that out as a couple options, but that would be the suggestion, is that we would appraise the property.
Would the 10 acres be, like I said, anything for future, for lack of a better word, is growth, or?
in my opinion, I would buy the whole thing if you can. I don't know how much we're talking here per acre either, but, you know, visiting with Larry the other day, there's some other options that he's interested in too, possibly a land swap. But, you know, I kinda think like you, Kenny, if you don't buy it and then we don't have enough 15 or 20 years down the road, what's it gonna cost them, you know? And when we're looking at a $4 to $5 million project, you know, another $100,000 is not that much.
Did we find out if we can swap that?
For a new tree
Not yet.
replacement.
We did that down.
But,
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the appraisals come back at.
yeah,
Yeah.
flip to page 19, and this goes through some of the
20,000.
the procedure. Again, I highlighted a few things: the facility plan, will be submitted. That's the thing Lon has. That's the full facility plan. I copied the report of the facility plan. These are these several pages that are on the, at your seat tonight, and would encourage that you would take some time to review that. But it's, that's just basically the, kind of the short form of what's included in that facility plan, which is requirement then for the DNR in order to proceed. It's first step in the process of getting a construction permit at some time. It's also the first step in the process of being able to finance this if we're working through the revolving loan fund. Okay, so if we're on page 19 again, where it's talking about that we need to comply with the Code of Iowa and federal acquisition regulations. Okay, so the first step on this would be to hold a public hearing. Now, when we get approval back on that facility plan, and this should turn around quickly, within 2 or 3 weeks. Bob lays out some times here that if things come back the way he thinks, that at the council meeting on May 2nd, we may very well be able to go ahead and set a public hearing date for June 6th. And then you can meet some of the publication requirements in the paper, as well as giving notice to the landowner. Kind of a strange process that you work through, but you're giving holding a public hearing on this, really, again, not having any idea what the price may be or anything like that. This is just a notion that's the parcel of property that you're interested in, and that's what you would be focusing your efforts on.
No complaints on this.
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Talked with several of the adjacent property owners, and they understand what's going on, didn't have any concerns with it. We've not talked to Jamie Putin. But John Scott owns the parcels to the north, and he said, didn't really have any concerns about that. Steve Watts owns the parcels to the east and south, and he's well aware of that then too. And Judy Wilson owns the parcels then to the west, and we need to be talking with Judy now because she's still involved in the project, because that's where the sewer line would go through there.
Oh,
And she's gonna be a lot more receptive to that than having that in her yard.
sure.
One thing, I'm looking at this quick, but if you guys see the yellow line and see the diamond down in here, if we bought all the property, more likely we would never be able to use that on a future site, because the yellow line is the 1,000-foot mark. So that might be something you want to think about if you're maybe not buying all of it, because I don't think you're ever going to be able to use it for a sewer plant.
There again, it's all about what is. What if in 40 years that place is gone?
Oh, Food's place? It
I'm-
could be,
I'm-
it could be.
I'm just, we're gonna talk what if.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, just
Just so everybody's aware of it. I mean,
yeah. I-
If, in 40 years, it might be 2,000 foot from anybody,
You might be a lot more willing
Yeah,
to sell
but
it
if this
than,
is here, well then,
10
probably-
acres sitting there.
probably can still use it. I think Larry'd like to see it all gone, because there's no way he can really get back to it. Off our access road he could, but to go around there and mess around with that little piece on that side.
Yeah, big
he might
equipment
not
don't
wanna
like
do it.
short turns.
Just process-wise, again, we need to hold this public hearing. And, in the perfect world, if we just said that we could go negotiate with Larry and we could buy this piece of property, you could just do that. And you don't need to do the public hearing and all this stuff. But working through several steps, and then you get to the end and you find out that you don't agree on price, you see, you do need to do this hearings and all of the other appraisals and stuff along the way. Just so that, should you fail to reach agreement on price, there's always options that the city can still end up owning it. But
Can you
just know
make-
that he's very receptive to this idea. He really is.
Yeah.
He'll be very interested in what the agreed price would be. He has every intention that make some money. He's also talked about this notion of a property swap. A like-kind exchange is what Bob Veenstra called it. And that we would look for a parcel of property that the city could buy, and then you swap this parcel with Larry, so that the city ends up owning the site that we're looking at, and we'd swap the property.
Imagine he wants that fairly close though, too.
He has something in mind.
He's
Oh,
mentioned
has
some
he?
sites around to us,
Okay.
yeah.
And so it's, so I talked to Bob Veenstra about this idea about the like-kind exchange. He said, it certainly has been done before, it's legal, you can do this. Now, he's mentioned several times that the rules on SRF had changed within the past months to where you can now finance your land purchase through SRF. Okay? You'd never done one of these like-kind exchanges and had it financed through SRF. And it's still, certainly I think in the city's best interest, we want to finance that through SRF. Lowest interest, and you really only want one large loan out there. If we had to service two loans at the same time, we would have some cash flow issues. So Bob has requested an answer from the SRF people, and we don't have that answer yet, about whether they would finance a like-kind exchange. I don't know if anybody has opinions on that, but
I guess my question would be how that would be received to the public.
And I live another piece of property.
Fine. And, great if you could do it, but, on the other hand too, then we're kind of putting a third party involved in it, aren't we?
yeah, it would just seem that there would need to really be some additional benefit to the city for doing this, like reducing the cost, in total reducing the cost.
That'd be almost the only way that, it'd be good for the city to do it that way.
And Larry can still do this, guys. I've done it before myself on property. He has a year to reinvest that money in property, and if it's ground for ground, because we've done that when we bought the farm. So as far as a land swap, if that doesn't work, we can still talk to him about doing it. He can still do it. So.
Just doing it on his own, yeah.
13, or 6 something, or I can't remember.
Now let's just wait until.
Just thought you paid cash, right?
Yeah.
You gotta get around taxes.
Just a couple things to
I didn't hear that.
point out to you on page 20. I'm in the third paragraph down under the federal acquisition regulations. The city must make fair market value offer. Okay, if the fair market value of acquisition is $10,000 or more. So certainly for the land, it would be when we would need to have some discussion about easement for the sewer line. And it's very likely that that you're purchasing this easement because there will be some damage along the way. So we don't know what the value of that would be. Bob's thinking that it would be less than $10,000. But
Sounds like Bob's got to answer a lot of questions.
as far as dealing with two property owners, and the two property owners are directly to the north of the sewer plant there. Eric and Jen Wallison are building their house. Okay, so that would be one property owner, and then Judy Wilson would be the next one. They're the only two that the pipe would go through. So I think we need to get together with them shortly and start talking through the process with them. And the other thing, I guess we would likely make this offer to Wallisons at least about being able to connect to the sewer. That would be a benefit to them, but we also have an ordinance that says no connections outside the city limits. So we need to work around that in order to make it legal so they could be able to still connect.
So what if they don't agree to go, then you have to go then you have to pump it up the hill, right?
You mean if we can't come to agreement with Larry?
No, with, Wilson and Wallison, then you gotta pump it?
Not necessarily, you know, it's the same arrangement that you'd have with the land, that,
Yeah.
you know, if you can't come to a mutual agreement, I mean, the very worst case is that you can condemn an easement.
Not the same. We
Um,
need that.
Of course, you don't wanna go there, but,
There's no money in the budget for this.
No, it's a lot of hard to do.
Nobody brought it up.
Well,
Unless you
yeah, I mean,
absolutely-
and I would almost think Judy would be more receptive, means why she's not gonna ruin her view. She might be more receptive to it now, you know, and, because I don't blame her, guys, I mean, it wasn't gonna be nice to have it where it was proposed. I've got a picture someplace that shows where it's going through her property, but by gosh,
I think I put that in
Yeah,
the,
it's right along the creek. Isn't it?
can't.
You're not gonna see it.
Right here.
I signed it.
Color.
On page 18,
It was
Yeah.
colored in the email, I just didn't print it that way.
yeah.
They're not gonna see it anyway.
Yeah,
Just to
see how
write it out.
17 and
Yeah.
18, that shows the,
Okay.
where the line of the,
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
so,
And
so the red line is the pipe going through, it's outlined in blue.
Mhm.
See the blue's kind of right next to the red line, that would be the easement amount. But the construction easement, the temporary easement's much wider, and that's the yellow lines.
But we're sure that's gonna be able to be gravity.
Well, the outfall was 1,200, I believe I've read in here, 1,200, and it'll be, gosh, I think there was only 5 foot of fall, so that'd be a 1,205, and the top of the sewer plant was a 1,215, so we'll have to pump it. When it gets out there, we'll pump it
Yeah.
up into the lagoon.
Yeah.
But I think it's, so we're looking at, I think it was 10 to 12 feet or something like that, if I remember my figures.
Okay. Cause we had some problems with our old sewer plant with gravity flow and that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't wanna see a repeat performance on that. Well, that's our,
Well, it makes a lot more sense than going to site 2, because we're gonna have to pump it up roughly 50 feet. It would involve 2 lift stations and still having sewer pipes roughly 25 foot deep. Now, that would have been a force main, an 8-inch force main. We're looking at going to a 15-inch gravity flow from the sewer plant out to accommodate the amount of water that we have to put. We have a 13-inch, I believe, or 12 or 13-inch right now.
and I'll say, how big did you say?
15 inch is what he has proposed in here, which, you know, a 4-inch pipe and a 6-inch pipe, there's 4 times as much water can go through a 6-inch pipe than can a 4-inch pipe. So, you know, it really gets a lot bigger.
This would work if we had a great big rainfall again, event.
Well, I'm sure hoping he's got his figure right.
That's the question for
The-
him.
Mhm.
That's,
The limiting thing then is how much that lift station can pump up into it,
yeah.
but,
So there'll be kind of like a spot out there where it flows into and then the pumps take over.
Yeah, it'll actually go into
Like a pit.
a lift station.
Yeah.
It'll be a big lift station too, you know. And then it'll get pumped up into that. I'm reading operating costs here, guys. As far as operating costs is really about the same as what our sewer plant is now. But maintenance is a lot less and time spent is a lot less. And that's where we're probably gonna maybe catch up a little bit on that end of it. But as far as cost to run the plant, it sounds like it's about the same, because you got 240 horse, or 340 horse motors on this new system out here. And 2 of them will be running, I think one is for backup, I think, the way I understood it. But, so, and they're running 24 hours a day.
so when they talk about operating costs, what they're really talking about primarily is electric cost.
Electric.
And, and since, you know, we're basically buying wholesale power for ourselves, it's ends up being a better deal for us.
it's kinda interesting reading. If you get in here and start reading each option, he's got it all wrote down in this packet. It's kinda interesting reading it here quick. I just glancing through it quick, but it gives a lot of the figures in there and stuff. It's something you guys probably wanna know.
You know, if we can take a look at this one that was at your seat here real quick. What this actually is part of the application for that SRF loan. And that ends up being the total IUP request, intended use plan. That would be the total amount that would be requested to basically set aside for us in the SRF. $4.696 million.
So what if that don't all get used, you don't have to borrow that?
You don't borrow it. With this program, you draw down money as you spend it.
Okay.
Okay. So, just a couple things and again, just recognize these are very, very beginning cost estimates on it. So there's a number in there for legal expenses, and there's a number there for land and easements, and have to see how we do on that one. The engineering design fees at $90,000 to design it, and then engineering construction fees at $260. So right there you're at $350 for this project. We had been at $248, I think, on the initial projects at the mechanical plant. So engineering was proposed to be a little bit higher for this than what it had been under the mechanical plant one. Construction at $3.4 million. That would be lagoon construction. The disinfection, UV disinfection is included in that then also. Okay.
And that miscellaneous 4,000, that,
Could be a little bit of anything, or who knows.
is that even enough?
With the 350,000 of contingencies then.
Oh, that's, I was gonna say 4,000, that's like about spent by truck.
That's right. So you're looking at 5.6. That's my guess.
Oh gosh, I hope not.
Well, we're just figuring 30% over what everything's been.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
we've had our stretch of bad luck. We're due for something good.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Anyway, so yeah, $4.7 million
Has
is.
he talked what time of the year they would let this, Scott, when you were visiting with him? That's gonna be huge.
Yeah, a lot sooner than we did the streets.
It is, well, it would be proposed to be let in the fall of 18. Excuse me,
17.
fall of 17,
Yeah.
and then you got the whole construction season of 18 to complete it. And
So far,
really,
his guess wasn't too good.
what's that?
So far, his batting average isn't too good.
No.
0 for 0.
And again, the last thing at the table is just the overall kind of the management report on the facility plan. This is very condensed what's in that book that line. Okay, but I'd really encourage you to read through this. What this is now really saying is that Bob's focusing exclusively on that Hauser site, and would start to proceed from there. I'm interested in your ideas about about an appraiser. Are we ready to get some information from appraisers? You want proposals? You want to sit on it for a little bit? We don't need to rush right on to anything, but we sure can.
Well, it doesn't matter when we do it. as
Well,
long
I
as we
really
get it
think
done in
Larry's
time.
gonna want his own appraiser too.
Yeah.
You know, and give him that option so we don't upset him.
Yep.
You know, and visit with Larry.
What good does it do to wait?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I
don't think we should wait, we need to get moving on
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if this is Because it might be that we might have to do other things, we don't know, so we gotta, more time we got to get this process started, the better it is, so let's get it started, and move forward.
We have to go out and get bids from guys that appraise it, or can we just,
You don't have to. Like Lon was saying, what do you think about talking with Larry and seeing if he has a preferred appraiser?
Oh,
that sounds fair.
should be, yeah.
Can-
You know, the
can
fair
you
thing
actually
is each
just-
party appraises,
Can you
but
actually see if we can, and sit Larry down and talk some prices? And I know you wanna go through the public hearing and everything, but if we could buy the thing through the SRF without going through that stuff, if we can come to an agreement with him,
you can skip the appraisal
we can
part.
skip that, but, you know, maybe we should sit him down and start there this week on it.
Better do it while it's raining.
Well, yeah, I mean, he hasn't started planning yet, so. Same way with
Yeah.
Judy, we really need to go out and start visiting with Judy and Lawson's and.
You can't hurt nothing.
No. If we got an
gotta
appraiser
start.
that Larry likes, then we wouldn't have to go to a separate one, because he's gonna
Well,
want
I
his guy
kinda
anyway.
think that, he might have a price in mind, no matter what the
Yeah.
appraiser says,
I'll bet he does.
I guarantee you.
Yeah, I bet he does.
Well, but this FR, they may want an appraiser. The loan company.
Well, let's
I
just
don't- I
start
don't
the
know how
process and
They
see
got it
where.
valued at 10,000, you ain't gonna get that for 10,000, I'd never sell mine for 10,000,
No, that's what I said.
you know?
But
It
we
ain't
want,
gonna happen.
we don't wanna do it the hard way, we wanna get along all the way along.
That's right,
It won't be good if we have to do it the hard way.
See where he's at,
yeah, let's just sit him down and
see where he's at, go from there.
That way we know next council meeting what his thought is. We don't know
Yeah.
it now.
well, one of us three sit down and we'll
Visit with him.
maybe get a game plan and go with it.
Yep.
Everybody okay with that? That's what we're gonna do.
Yep,
Yep.
get it moving.
Okay, we're going to our nuisance and dangerous buildings.
Yep.
Alon, the truck is back in service? The one you,
We got the lights to put on and I ordered that, we gotta have that reflective sticker on the side.
Oh, yeah.
It's painted, looks nice.
I saw it go by today.
Red?
Nope,
No,
black.
We could've used it on Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would've been better, an old yeller.
Yeah.
We got it
Kept you
done.
honest, that's all.
Yeah.
So now what you gotta do, fix up old yeller or what?
That might be
Yeah.
going to Quan.
Yeah, if we could drive it there.
You need a one-way trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's seen her better days.
So, Mike Rydell, he says, that is literally a piece of.
But he's got a pretty nice truck.
You want to talk just a little bit, Lon, about your tree trimming machine?
Well, we had got, I talked to Mike and they had that, they call it the butcher deal, but it's got a wheel about 3 foot. And, we went out and done a lot of tree trimming all the way out. Well, we got to Mrs. Becker, then I had a rock and broke a tooth off, so we had to weld a new tooth on it. But, the thing works good, and I would propose, we've got the high school kids coming in next Wednesday. I
On
believe.
This Wednesday,
And we were thinking
possible.
about going out here on the, if you come into town, you can't even see the Lakeview sign from out by the dump, and trimming up that ditch there.
That'd be nice.
Now,
That one tree was planted there, you know.
just
Well-
know that
Camera for
I
Doug.
can take care of it.
We haven't done anything on it.
The last
We got
time that
lined
it
up.
was done,
Cashoon's gonna put the underground.
there was people upset, they thought it looked like it was a butcher job, you know?
It
Because
is.
it does
We gotta
shred a
repower it
little
to the
bit,
dump.
but, it's greening up, and it doesn't take very long, and then the next year you don't even see it,
That was
so,
one of them that bitch.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's why we're asking. That's why Scott wanted to bring it up, I think.
I just want you to know
We
what's
wanna
going
go
on.
out there
I think it'd be good
clean
if we
that
would
ditch
go
out.
trim this thing back. They get really close to the,
I thought
To
the
the-
county guys did that.
well, they did,
Yeah.
but they've used
used that
this
there.
machine, and that's actually our, from the gravel road into the dump. That's all of our road.
I don't go that way often anyway, so it's all right.
A lot of stuff in the ditches the kids are gonna pick up. It looks terrible out there.
So the,
Oh, I
Hopefully, if it
suppose.
rains, they're
Yeah.
gonna cancel it.
No,
Just FYI.
now Steve said they
Talked
try
about
to do it
today.
Friday again, but
Yeah, oh,
But I'd
really?
like to
That's
do
what
it
he told
this
me
week,
today.
cause he does want that machine back, and then we had talked about maybe trimming some out down around our shop, is that right?
Yeah, and use that on the back slope of that hill down,
Between the homes and the.
Well, I think you gotta almost go on the bottom, I think the people up above don't want them trees trimmed out of there. All of them, but
Okay.
we could sure clean up some stuff down there.
Cleaning the city shed would look really good. It looks a lot better than it did years ago, I gotta give you
Use it on
that.
the city shed or what?
No, why are you?
Oh.
yeah, just grind her up into nothing.
Sparks fly in.
Have you guys seen the new man lift? It is down there, it's sitting outside right now, so if you wanna drive down, take a look at it.
And it goes left and right now.
Everything works.
Yep.
So is there room for that in the shed then?
We will be putting it in here
Okay.
one of these days. That, I don't know if you wanna bring that up to council or not, but, do we wanna get that, big iron involved and get rid of some stuff again?
We sure will, it's just a question of when we're gonna sell that stuff. 'Cause we got two pickups to get rid of, a cop car,
Woods lawnmower, is
that lawnmower, yep. We need the lawnmower for now, so we gotta get this other lawnmower here before we get rid of it, but.
That sounds like a good, them lawnmowers sound like a good deal to me, $500 a year, I don't know where you could do.
They can't buy them cheaper than
I
that.
can't believe they do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Can't
that's a
either.
really good deal.
They'll quit as soon as they get us hooked, then they'll hook
They
us.
change oil in it too.
You don't have to, you don't put.
I know.
That's
what I mean.
I
Yeah.
heard that.
But if you go look at the city mowers, they look like they've been in a demo derby. If you go down there, look, the sides are bashed to crap, they just look terrible. But Eric gets a new mower, so that'll look pristine when he's done, I'll tell you that. But I'm telling you, the ones they got now, they get beat the hell out of them things.
And Joy always gets that, I wax mine and she just has a fit.
You go ahead. Keep her clean.
I gotta look at the hood, not her.
I'll tell you what, on the nuisances, Royce is going around and talking to everybody, but he's been delayed because they're working on a little project. And they haven't had time, but, before May 10th, we'll get a hold of everybody on the small nuisances. So that's where we're at on that. The big ones, Cody's in on them, right?
Yeah, we just wanna talk a little bit more about, mainly these dangerous buildings. You wanna talk a little bit about that, Cody, on the?
Well, I think first we have to establish that they are dangerous buildings. And so that's sort of my question is, how do we go about establishing that they're dangerous buildings? And I don't think in looking at the ordinances, it's enough for us to simply say they're dangerous. And then once we can maybe show that they're dangerous, what do we want to do with them? How do we want to approach either getting them fixed or taking possession? There's a letter in the council packet that I drafted to send to one of them, but I don't want to send it and then find out that that's not the path the council wants to go down. Are you willing to proceed? And then there are going to be some costs in proceeding because we're going to have to do lien searches and probably hire somebody who understands building structure to testify that they are dangerous. And then there's some requirements in the code of factors that the court has to consider to gather the information as to whether or not the utilities are up to date, whether or not there's taxes paid, those sorts of things that would have to be met before we could. I would want them done before we filed anything with the court to take possession, if that's what we're gonna do, or before we proceeded, rather than filing something and then getting ready for a hearing and scrambling to get the proof that we need to show that it should be done.
So we're confident they're not gonna do anything.
They're not gonna do anything. I don't know about the current owner, but I talked to a couple days ago, talked to the other fella who was considering purchasing it and fixing it up, and he is out of the picture.
Did he say why? Because it was in such bad shape?
Yes, such bad shape. He said he wasn't gonna get in there and tackle it.
So no matter how bad shape it is it cheaper to fix up the building or tear it down?
Tear it down.
Well, and this is not my area of expertise, and I told Scott I get this only because I am addicted to HGTV. If you go in there and start and try to fix some of it up, especially in the health food store, I believe, and you run into asbestos, what are the abatement rules before you can even fix it up? I don't know that you can just go in there and fix it, and I think if you go in there, you have to abate, then fix. And it's not just
That's actually one of the reasons why, as we've worked through a process in the past, we always wanted to keep it private and encouraged people to fix their own stuff.
Yep.
And that way, if there was anything that needed to be attended to, they would do it. And oftentimes they'd just do it without fixing any of the asbestos. You can contain the asbestos simply by painting over it again. But if the city's involved, we can't, and we would have to do the inspection and find out that there's asbestos in there, and you have to abate it. Or if you choose not to abate it, like we tore down that Black Hawk Hotel, we did not abate the asbestos. We just treated the entire thing as asbestos-containing waste. And then it just got so much more expensive to have to dispose of.
Is Daryl qualified to say it's a building that's no good, or building inspector? Or
I don't know, but boy, do we have good timing tonight. If we could ever ask Region 12 for any assistance in developing, whether anybody there could determine whether this is a dangerous building or not.
She picked up on that,
And I know
Rick.
there's an outfit out of Des Moines that most of the cities down there are starting to use because it's so hard to get qualified people to do it down there, that it's, I think, $75 an hour for them to come out and inspect and then offer their report. And whether or not that's something we want to do on both of these before we make any decisions, or, I don't know, Daryl, I apologize, so.
That they come out and do inspection of the building structure, or this is an asbestos inspection?
There's another entity that does the asbestos inspection. And I forget the name of it.
We had to have the East End building before we tore it down inspected for asbestos.
Did you?
And we got a company out of Des Moines to do it.
And I think they're, at least from what I understand, they're one of the few left in Iowa that still does asbestos abatement work.
Would've been better if you'd have took it along with the hotel.
yeah.
It was used for something back then, actually, it was in
I
use.
know it was, but it was bad shape then.
So does Region 12 still do the inspection at all, Nancy? You do asbestos inspections now?
I have a general idea. I don't normally do the asbestos inspections, but there is an outfit out of Jefferson that is very, very reasonable, and that's who I usually get
Good.
to do them. I mean, he can abate it too.
I think that's, we gotta go down the proper road,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
let's start with that process.
Well, I think that's something maybe contacting and seeing.
Right, do we even have rights to entry into the
That's the
building?
other question too.
Can you get a hold of this guy or not?
The only way that I've ever even had contact with him is sending him stuff.
I think, because I think he'd be probably more than willing to get rid of it. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's realizing what he has here now, it's just ends up being a liability to
I
him.
wonder what the specifics were, why this gentleman backed out all of a sudden. I mean, he
Because
must have had somebody in there too that looked it over
But he
and,
thought
Yeah,
he
he
was
did,
gonna
yeah.
fix it.
yeah, I know, but
Sit
he had
for
to have
2
gotten
years.
somebody in there to
Said
look
he-
it over
Yep,
and then
he's had
decided
contractors
that,
in there,
yeah.
he said. And,
Okay.
I think the end was kind of like, not that it can't be done, but I've got other projects that I can do and do a lot easier,
Well,
Can we send him a letter telling him what we're gonna do?
hasn't that got something to do with public safety though, really, think about it?
I think the health food store has more, I think you can probably get it under the abandoned building code section from the state. I would, if you're gonna take possession of it, I wouldn't do it, although your ordinance provides for it, I would go under the state code and do it that way so that you have a judicial blessing, just for protection for the city. The other one, I'm not sure that simply having a leaky roof meets the dangerous building section. Because I don't know what impact that has had on the structure, because as I read the ordinance, it has to be likely to partially or completely collapse. And I don't think that a leaky roof just leads your structure to collapse. Maybe it's done enough damage that it would get there, but without somebody to say that, I don't know that you get there.
But yeah, we had talked about the nuisance side of things as far as tires and stuff and having the nuisance.
And then, but on that, you have to get that he's storing, and I mean, there is in the nuisance that we don't store rubber, so there's that potential option on the nuisance side, but that doesn't get, that addresses the tires, not necessarily the leaky roof.
I would tell you that I did have a complaint from the neighbor about those tires up there again.
Standing water.
And it's a standing water complaint. You know, and for as much as you hear about mosquitoes now, and then you hear about the Zika virus.
Yeah, more and more.
They're back.
It,
They're out,
it is a,
big time.
you know, it becomes a sanitary concern.
I was standing on the grass the other night, and I was to the neighbor.
So, we need to have her develop plans for both of them, I'd say.
Yeah, when we had talked about that, the Once More store, the last time we gave them notice was this time last year, so we had agreed that we need to give them new notice on that again. You know, get up there and give them a notice and talk with them and see if he ever has any plans of doing anything. And
Does he have the ability to do anything, or
Well, you'd have to hire it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying can he financially afford? I don't know him to know, I believe you said
Well, I
he's an
sure think
elderly
so, yeah.
gentleman, but is he living on a fixed income and he gets a social security check and he's not gonna be able to?
Farms.
Okay, I don't know
I
who
think
he
he's
is
okay.
again.
But
he's got numerous buildings around the county full of stuff, I'm told, so.
Ida County too.
Yes, he's got them everywhere, it's just full of junk. So we need to develop a plan of what we gotta do, and
I'd say,
Set of
I think on
procedures.
that one, you have to give notice again because
Okay.
it's been so long
in a year.
since notice has been given. And then on the other one, talk about whether somebody, I mean, somehow you've got to get an inspection. And if you want to proceed beyond notice, if he's not going to do anything on the other one, then I think you have to look at an inspection somehow too, to
I
find
guess
out what
we
the
need-
issues are.
Cause he told us what he was gonna do last time. Nothing.
yeah, the Once More guy did.
Yeah.
When you get right down to the nitty gritty on the health food store, is the city willing to become the owner of that building?
Do we have a choice? You know, our choices aren't,
If he isn't gonna do anything with it, I'd say we have
Do
to.
anything.
yeah.
We have to get it out of there before, well, of course, we don't own it, but if it falls on somebody, it won't be good.
But if we go through that route, are we able to recoup the costs from the owner?
Likely not, because say if we end up acquiring the property, we remove the building, technically, yeah, it ends up being a lien. But it's a lien against something that has no asset, and you'd never get paid for it. You could sell the property, and you'd get the sale of the property, which would be little or nothing. And, we had problems selling the hotel lots there next to it. So it's not a huge asset, and it would just end up being a cost. But not to say that it's not an appropriate cost, because it's very much, can be an appropriate cost and improvement to the community.
One of the biggest things about selling that, though, that time was that big electrical box on the back side of that property.
Mm-hmm.
Can we move them?
Yeah, that cost big time.
It's feasible to move it, but it'd be quite an undertaking.
But yeah, but there isn't one on this.
No, there's not one.
Yeah.
so what do we spend on streetscape?
900,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about 900.
Is that improving our streetscape?
Not a bit.
No.
Not at all.
Is there much of a,
There's no discussion there.
Well, yeah,
Just we go through the right process and then have to eat it, that's what we gotta do.
I just want the council to be aware before we undertake the process of what it's gonna cost. I don't wanna start the legal proceedings to get title and then come back and find out that it's gonna cost,
we won't find out sitting here, we gotta get,
I mean, you've gotta get
Yeah.
people to come in and talk, to do the inspections and look at it.
Right.
That's not something that I am qualified to do. I mean, I can walk you through the legal process, but I think that's why, before we go too far down the legal process, I want the council to know what the expected cost could be.
So the first step's an inspection of some type then. Right,
Can't we send this guy a letter, say this is what we're gonna do? We'll
But if
wait
you
for his
can't get
response.
into the
It's-
property,
You gotta first prove that it's a hazard, right?
Does he wanna,
And that's done by an independent inspection.
Well, there's, within the dangerous building code section, there's, I mean, you make an app, you file a petition with the court, and then there are, after 60 days, you have a hearing, and then there, within the code section, there are factors that the court considers.
What if you just wanted to give it to the city and say, okay, here's
right,
what you want?
that's what I was gonna say, quick.
Jump through all those hoops and then we,
For nothing. Let him know what we're gonna do, I would think.
And there, I mean, I
Scare
pulled
him.
quite a few cases, and there are cases out there where it doesn't end up going, they end up having to obviously go the route of, through the code section to acquire possession, but I don't think there's anything that prohibits the city with trying
You
to
know,
negotiate a purchase price.
you hear of it every once in a while, quick claim deed, you know, for $1. You know,
I mean, that'd make the process go faster and be,
well, it'd be nice,
Cut
so then we
costs
still
there.
have to, you know, wait until fall, I would say. Right?
He's gotta be somewhat aware that he's gonna have trouble selling it no matter what. I guess
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's not gonna get any better, you know, it's just like you go into any remodel work when you're dealing with something new, and when you start opening everything up, well, I got another problem underneath here, it's more than cosmetic, and
keeps going.
it does, it dollars up fast.
And maybe all the contractors he had look at it, the price is too high for him. Maybe it can be fixed, it just takes more money.
Talk to him, see if he wants to.
I think we send him a letter outlining what we're gonna do. If his response is, well, you can have it, then no choice.
Yeah.
I wonder what it costs Bree to put down their buildings.
Good. I wonder.
I don't
I
think
don't know.
Brita did it.
I
I think it's the guy that bought the site, I think he tore him down, cause he's gonna,
torn down, didn't
yeah, I think he bought the buildings, and part of it, the bank is gonna expand, and then the other part, the guy's moving his business from Templeton up there, and I think he bought him and tore him down.
Okay. Let's still find out the cost value of it, possible. Call over there,
I
just.
think he lives here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll get a plan in place, and we'll also talk with, somehow get a hold of Mr. Annabo. Tell him what's going on and just kind of feel him out, and I mean, see,
Yeah.
you know, if he would just like to give us the property, maybe that's a quick way to get there.
Yeah. Tell him it'd save him a lot of money, cause if he has to get roped into tearing that down, yeah. It costs more than what he paid for it. I'm sure.
Okay, we'll go to the personnel policy.
Yeah. Just a few things on drug testing. We had talked about long time ago. Last time we talked about personnel policy was actually right at the end of November, so it's been a few months since we've addressed this. And just a reminder now that our drug testing that we have for the city right now is only the DOT drug testing for CDL holders. Okay, for the city, that is the 3 guys in Public Works and the 3 guys in electric. Okay, so those are the people for whom we have drug testing now. State law lays out some parameters for what private businesses can do in regards to drug testing. Okay, those same parameters don't apply to public entities. Just that it was just, let me see if I can read this properly. Testing is controlled by principles of constitutional law, protect the Fourth Amendment about search and seizure. Now, people do this. Other entities, they do this. They do oftentimes. I think it's pretty commonplace that other cities do some amount of drug testing. But again, usually it's for safety-sensitive positions, and you just need to have a policy in place about how you would like to do it. You need to, again, be consistent with what the Constitution allows, and then also just understand that public employees are due certain amounts of due process. And just mainly that you gotta give them notice, but that's all done by having policy in place. I'm just more interested in what type of policy it is that you would like to look at, like as in what positions would be covered, what positions are considered safety sensitive, who's covered, is this full-time, part-time, seasonal?
Everybody. This don't cost anything, just you're gonna test by random anyway, right?
Well, those are the,
We do
what
pre-employment.
types of tests would you do? You know, pre-employment, random, reasonable suspicion, post-incident.
All of the above.
We have all of them.
You know, my
Well, sure. We did.
preference would be that if we're gonna have a drug testing policy, and you're just going to apply it to additional people, we would have the same policy that we have for CDL drivers. You know, just for implementation, it makes it a lot easier to implement.
So we belong to a pool, now, explain that to me.
We belong to a consortium with lots of other public governments, so that our pool is all of their employees put together. And that's administered by St. Luke's out of Sioux City, and they do all the random draws and everything. Okay, then when a name comes up, it's gotta be tested within that quarter. We go down to McCreary Roast for a collection, and then they send in the sample. $31 to McCreary Roast for a collection, and $37 for testing, so it's about $68.
See, ours in school, they usually call you when you're just about to the school. You don't have no notice that it's.
No,
you just
it's
go in,
written
the
in,
nurse
yeah.
does it.
Yeah. Oh, they do it, they collect
Yeah.
it there.
They do it right there at school.
So if you did this, if you're talking about doing it for everybody, whatever, so if we were hiring our seasonal, you'd let them do a pre-employment then too, every year, or what's your vision on that? What's your suggestion?
Seasonal is the only, the thing where you get into, because now, okay, if you have a floater for the season, like the one we're gonna hire,
Mm-hmm.
but what type of work is he going to be doing?
Everything.
I mean,
He'd
is
be
he
in
running
that safety-
some equipment? He
He
should,
may run
I-
some equipment.
I,
He's on shovel-ready projects.
yeah.
And
But
shovel.
even, like the lawnmowers and stuff, you know, as big as the lawnmowers are, that ain't out of,
I guess my question is, so, in order to make this right, if I understand this, then you need to do a pre-employment every year,
That's the problem you get in with seasonal, yeah.
even with seasonal, but that leads you into, because I don't think you can, per se, put them in the drug, since you didn't have a pre-employment drug test. I'm not sure about this, that's why, is there a legal opinion on that? I mean,
I don't have one tonight.
well, what I'm saying is, though, if we don't give them, we just hire whoever, high school, whatever, and say, you're gonna start, but then we say, well, you don't have a pre-employment, but you could be subject to a random. To me, that doesn't make any sense to, and do you think we really have that much of a problem? Is that,
Yeah,
We drank too much coffee.
I don't think that shows up.
Oh, so you have too much
Now I
time
know.
on your hands. We can find more stuff for you to do.
Marvelous, Dave.
I guess I'm just, you know, I feel that the program we got now, that, you know, that's where you're setting yourself up. Lawnmower, I mean, I don't know, I'm just, but anybody that drives any, you know, truck equipment, that's different, that needs to be, whether it's part-time or full-time. If they're gonna do the dump truck, drive a dump truck.
well, certainly, yeah, you know, if, in
That's
that
what I'm-
case, they're covered under CDL.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so.
And so anyone that's working like with heights, like they're already covered then.
Like the
I mean,
tree
like if they're, yeah, anybody that might be up working, trimming trees or something, they would already be covered.
But I'd never say never, because I suppose we could have our floaters up there doing that type of stuff, but by and large, it's our full-time guys.
They can be picking the stuff up. Just,
So do you have to have a list of things that we can pick from and bring them next time, or do you wanna,
we'll see how
what we're
we,
looking for? That's,
Do you
Find out
really
how-
need one is what
Well,
you're saying?
that,
Do you really need a change in it?
I don't think, I think we just do like we have in the past, as long as you're covered under the CDL. I mean, somebody's driving a lawnmower, I sure would hope that.
You know, it's, if you wanna look at expanding into some of these safety sensitive things, you know, I would really look at full-time people. And, that means the safety sensitive full-time people would basically be the police department. And, then the only other full-time folks would be Kay and myself. And, you know, we certainly could be safety sensitive as far as dispatch of emergency and that type of stuff. And I would just, I guess, leave that up to you, whether you think that that's safety sensitive and you want them in the pool, you know, is it, at some point it would be a cost, it's not that much money, but it would end up being a cost.
But you're not gonna check everybody. I mean,
It's all done by random. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just,
all done by random.
just depends about who you want to throw in there.
We've had people get
I mean, I haven't
picked
been-
three
I was-
different times in a row, and then
Yeah.
another person not get picked for 3 years, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
straight,
That's
you
me,
know, it
yeah.
just,
I got checked
Yeah.
once in 3 years, you
Yeah.
know. It's not a, you know,
I had a drug and alcohol at the same time. My name came up in 2 different
right.
sections.
yeah, they do
That's what
sometimes.
we are, drug and alcohol.
Mhm.
So,
And of course, our percentages are the same as everybody else. We're 25% each quarter on drugs and 10% on alcohol.
so it'd be easier for left it for full-time people that have a CDL,
But, well, if that's the case, that's what we have right
that's what we
now.
have now.
Yeah.
That's what you have
That-
now.
Fine with me, I mean,
I'm good leaving it the way it is.
I am too.
it can always be, you know, we can, if we think we ever have a
Revisit it
problem.
ever if you have.
We're just
a-
turning over rocks,
if
we
you have a
don't need
problem.
to,
Okay.
I don't think there's a problem.
Very good. In that case, at the next council meeting, we'll have a personnel policy that will be ready for you. I think we'll just leave it at that, you know, it will be ready for consideration.
Just out of curiosity, what happens if someone tests positive? Then what?
They need to go to a substance abuse professional?
Yep.
That's all in the policy.
And the city pays for that, right?
No.
Nope.
We don't pay for that, only as much as, through health insurance, you know, what's paid for through health insurance is, otherwise the city doesn't pay.
The city,
They-
could- I don't know how,
They're not subject to termination on the first one,
No.
but they might be
No,
on the second.
But on the second one,
yeah.
yeah.
We have a city administrator report.
School Community Service Day is Wednesday, maybe, assuming it doesn't rain. And they'll be walking the ditch down there, and Ruth and Nancy are taking a class for Wednesday afternoon to clean up the mini golf and the beach. I guess Ruth is taking them today.
We got the rakes and garbage bags lined up.
All right, great. And, yeah, we talked about our billboard is up there on site. The lights aren't in yet, so they gotta put the lights up, and then they gotta stretch the vinyl on it, and it'll be done, looks good. Our health insurance committee is having their initial meeting, and that's on Wednesday, the 27th at 1 o'clock. And what we have is our agent coming down to explain our policy, talk about Obamacare in general, and then start working through some of the options. And knowing that
2 hours gonna be enough?
we kind of did that on purpose to limit the time, because we let bids at 3 o'clock that day too. So we're limited on how much that can be. And Northwest Iowa League is a week from Thursday up at Storm Lake.
I got one thing.
Yep,
I keep looking at that sign.
yep.
That hasn't moved.
And we've called him like every week.
I think we need to send him a letter. What is our legal options?
Yeah.
Is somebody's gonna have to explain to me what's the issue?
This, he was hired to do the sign, and it's a thank you kind of thing for all the sponsors that contributed to the Pier Park,
Okay.
Onyx Pier Park. And it came in and it wasn't correct,
Misspelled.
It had some
misspelled,
typos on it.
typo, yeah. And we sent all the information back to him and he said he would do it, and it's been over a year now, right?
It's been.
So this is the
Before the
incorrect
repairs.
sign?
Yep.
Yes,
That
This is
that
the
one-
backside.
Yeah.
That's
it's
the
the
backside.
backside, all the names are on the other side.
He has it in
and-
his
He did spell
possession.
pier right.
Yeah,
Just in
That's
case.
what I was trying to figure out.
yeah,
what
no, it's on the
misspelling was.
backside, all the
Backside,
list of
the
the
names.
sponsors.
Sponsors. And this was what,
Well, if you give me the information, I can send him a letter, I think, if that's what the council.
I think we almost need to, because we've been calling and calling
yeah.
and nothing's,
Yep.
What-
Hell,
what-
Charlie's
gave
even
him the
called him.
corrections, I think, twice, didn't we? I mean,
what
the
are our
first
legal
time and
options
then a
if he
second
doesn't
time we
follow
sent
up?
him in.
Do we have a contract with them?
No.
We paid him,
If
Just
it's
the
a-
verbal.
well, we paid him, didn't
Um,
we? That was our first mistake, right? Paying him?
Yeah, we paid him.
Yeah.
We paid
Well,
him
that's gotta be
because,
something.
you know, by and large, we were pretty happy, at least with the arrangement. It was like $600 for the sign. But the donor board itself, it looks completely different than that. It has about 150 names on it. Very
On the other
complex.
side.
On the
Yeah.
other side, yes.
And so he just he needs to get these names fixed on it, and added a couple more to it, and
And
it's
he
really
agreed to-
not
to make the
rocket science.
corrections,
It's-
but he hasn't done it.
Yeah. And he's had the sign for several months now.
Several?
He's had the sign.
We took it back over to him when it was
Oh,
straight
so
up.
this isn't the one that.
No, no, this one's
Okay.
No,
fine.
he has the,
He has.
like I say, the others,
Needs to
the
fix.
backside of that has like 150 names on it.
There's another, but that piece he has.
He has it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you start with a letter, and then depending on what it costs, you can probably do something through small claims court for breach of an oral contract, or I think there's some workmanship issue ones too.
Mhm.
But I would start with a letter. I don't like to go to court first when you might be
I'm
able to
not
work
saying
it out
that,
with.
but tell them what options we're looking
Yeah.
at. I think that's what you, when
I mean,
they
I
see
can-
it, when they see it in writing, you know, you can call them all at once and then, well, forget that after you hate them. But send him something and give him a timeline. That if, step one is now, if we don't have it by, I'll say May 15th. I'd like to see it up by Memorial
By
Day.
Memorial Day.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah,
So, and then then what we're gonna do, if we don't hear anything, then I guess I would say Scott needs to go find somebody that can correct it, and then we'll have some hard dollars that we could go after them with. I mean,
Then your issue becomes again, and I don't know who has done it or the work, but you want to look at, are you gonna spend more money you can't get blood out of the turnip, so are we gonna spend a bunch of money to get a guy that doesn't have any money?
well, he's
Oh,
got,
Oh, yeah,
he's
you don't
got
have to
one.
worry about that.
I don't know who
It's
you
just-
are.
It's
even if you had a little, I want part of it, that's all I'm gonna say. So, I'm just, like I said, we sit here and we're sitting on our hands and it's not doing anything. So, again,
Give me
Black
the,
Hills Energy finds out when a letter comes up, they get their attention right away, so.
yeah.
It does, I mean, you hate to go through that part, but sometimes it takes that, you know, everybody's got good intentions. It's how you follow through on it,
give me the information and I'll put together a letter.
Can do.
all right? That's all I got.
Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second,
I'll do it.
meeting adjourned.
Okay?
We got. Soon has to go to power to us underground. Oh, okay.